Welcome back to Life and Hair. I really wanted to make another video specifically to do with being type 2 in this world. Not only do I feel that type 2 from the Dress Your Truth system are underrepresented on YouTube, I also feel that the type 2 energy, especially for those who are type 2, is so badly lacking overall, which leads to type 2s feeling that maybe they're the ones who are wrong and that the world is right. I just feel that at the moment, a lot of the qualities of the type 2 energy, for both men and women, but because I'm a woman, I'm specifically referring to myself as a woman in the world, is not particularly thought to be as useful, not particularly thought to be as dynamic enough to get things done in the world. And I wanted to chat about, what do I get out of being a type 2? How has my life improved since I discovered that I did have that primary type 2 energy with a secondary type 1 energy? You know, I really feel that it's such an amazing gift in life if you discover your nature and understand your true nature. Because once you understand that there are different general broad natures for people out there, and you identify which one yours is, and you start to learn more about the values and the qualities of that particular nature, there is an awful lot of self-acceptance that can come from that exercise, where you start to understand your role in your communities, in societies, and in the world. All through my life, for example, I mistakenly assumed that the type 3 and the type 4 were the energies that were most weighty, they were the most useful, they were the ones that were always most needed. If ever you needed to complete a project, you know, you needed to be terribly analytical, very dry, to weigh up the pros and cons in quite a scientific manner, to be amazingly organized, and then to push through with that dynamic, forward thrusting type 3 energy to get those things out into the world, those projects out into the world. And it's something that is very easy to observe, actually. You know, my daughter and I went to a shopping mall at the weekend, and just from going around the shops, I could very easily see that type 3 and type 4 element out there in the clothes that were presented to us. Of course, you know, these are the less expensive shops. They're not the designer shops, which are altogether a completely different energy and put forward completely different design lines and completely different colours and colour combinations, interestingly. But those things that were out there, those items of clothing that were for the masses, I felt were not what I was looking for. There was an awful lot, and I'm going to refer to this dress in a moment, but there was an awful lot of very type 3 coloured clothing with the golden yellow undertones, a lot of patterns that had a black background and then those same coloured patterns over the top. There wasn't much softness, there wasn't much subtlety or subtle nuance in colours or colour combinations that caught my eye. So I always feel that going shopping is something to really be worked through. I have to really hunt. I have to kind of put my type 2 spectacles on and be ready to discard most of the stuff I see in front of me. And interestingly, that's actually something that I never used to do before I discovered the Dress Your Truth system. And as a result of that, I ended up with a load of clothes and nothing to wear. And I understand that that's something that is very widespread and very common for a lot of women. I wonder whether it is because the items of clothing that they're bringing in don't vibe with their vibration, with their nature. And, you know, I used to feel a lot that when I went to put something on, to choose something to wear for the day, I would come up to each item of clothing that I had, which generally was based on black, and to assess it, did I feel like wearing it at the time? And that's really how I operated. I came from a place where, how did I feel? Did the item of clothing match my mood? Was it really how I wanted to express myself that day? And remember, no 2 days were the same. And more often than not, I would get an uncomfortable sensation somewhere within my chest and my torso, where I felt that there were two energies butting up against each other. And that's something that I've only identified since I started to change how I approached putting together my wardrobe. And I promise you, and I can't believe I'm saying this, it's possible to have a body of clothing where you can reach out and grab stuff to wear. It will go with each other. It will make you feel good. And it will really represent your true core values when you go out into your community. May I address this dress? So of course there is black in this dress. Of course there is. You know, there is no such thing as perfection when you come to dress according to your energy type. You're never going to have a whole load of stuff that is absolutely perfect in every way and that checks all of the, whatever type you are, but in my case, checks all of the type 2 boxes, is fluid and flowing, doesn't really have black in it, or if it does have black, the black is very soft, it's subtle, it's muted, it's cool coloured. Yeah, a lot of the times you will be able to gather that, but sometimes it won't be possible. However, there are different ways of looking at things, and it's very important to have that flexibility when you're assessing an item of clothing. When you follow the guidelines of your typing, you're more likely to have something that is vibing with you, that is harmonious with you, and that you're going to bring into your life, and it's going to support you when you are presenting yourself to the world, rather than through the back door kind of seeping your energy away, subtly, but nevertheless actually very effectively. So you're never going to get, you know, sometimes you might get that perfect item of clothing, often you won't, but there are different ways of approaching this. It's not an exact science. For example, and I've shown this before on the channel, okay? This dress has actually got a lot of this buff colour as a background with some black in the pattern. And if you look at this black, it is soft. This could easily be interpreted as a charcoal black. Now there is one panel here on the left hand side of the dress. It's just one panel that has got the black background with the buff on the pattern. But overall, when I looked at this dress, I took note of how it made me feel and how I interpreted what the dress was saying overall. And it ticked the boxes for me inside. It was mellow, it was soft, the fabrication was soft. There was nothing stiff about this dress. And I also adored the sleeves, so they come down to your elbow. They have got a nice elastic on the ends of them and a very subtle puff here in the sleeve. Yes, it does have some black in it, I don't have lots of clothing in my wardrobe that have this much black. Indeed, I think this is probably one of 2 dresses, or maybe 3 dresses, one of which I'm going to get rid of, that has so much black in it. So these are the other 2 dresses that I was talking about. They both have very little actual black on them because the pattern takes up so much of the room. But when I wear this dress, I feel comfortable. I feel it's bright enough should I wish to wear a nice, bright, colourful summer dress. And I don't have problems with it because I take note of how the item makes me feel. However, on the other hand, and this is a perfect example, I have this dress. The lines of this dress are lovely. It has got billowy sleeves, it's elasticated at the bottom, it goes in at the waist and then it flares really nicely with lots of S-curves at the bottom. On the hem, nice V-neck, really, really nice lines. But the way I feel about this dress is that the black is more noticeable, and the pattern of these green circles with the black hearts on them, I feel are quite harsh. I don't feel that they're flowing enough, and I also feel that there is more of a contrast between the bright green of this pattern and the black background. There's nothing wrong with it. If you as a type 2 have this dress and it makes you feel good, you might have, for example, a secondary of 4 or 3, then that's all that counts. Your peace of mind, your relaxedness in yourself and in your body is all that counts. And that's all that we can ask really from our regular day-to-day clothing in our own private wardrobe. So those are examples of the role of black within our clothing across the types. It's definitely true that in our society and the clothing industry at large that is for the masses, black is thought of as the basic background colour, or the basic colour that everything should be provided in. And that's a big challenge for a type 2 who's looking for those softer basics. And also I've noticed with footwear, very much so, that most things are offered in black as a basic, as a foundation to your wardrobe, and that's exactly the thing that I'm wishing to get away from. I'd like my neutral colours to be so much more interesting than that. I also love the thought of layering hues of the same colour. You know, so you'd have a nice muted green and then you might wear slightly different variations of that colour, all in the one outfit. That's something that I'm working towards, and I one of the reasons why I like dresses most is because you've got this harmonious continuation all throughout from top to bottom. And I really want to start making more of an effort to do that with separates. I want my separates to flow into each other more. I don't like the thought of having a blue bottoms and a white top, or, you know, I want more flow. I'm looking for colours that are more unusual. That's really quite a challenge, I think, for type 2s. Over the last year or so, since I discovered Dress Your Truth, I've paid special attention to this area of my life. And I really understand that bringing in the type 2 elements to my clothing flows seamlessly to how I relate to other people. Well, actually, how I relate to myself first. This subject is really very close to my heart because it's very easy as a type 2 woman to feel that you're not doing things right. that these other louder, brasher, more dynamic people get it right, get things done, are more looked up to, are more useful, they're more admired. Yeah, that may be true on a level in a particular world. It's that world that I try and keep away from, because previous experience has given me a lot of failure and a sense of having not been good enough, not having been up to the mark when I've tried to engage, and even worse, to compete in those worlds. For example, I'll give you an example of when I was doing my degree at university. I was surrounded by really dynamic people that seemed to have endless stamina and never needed to rest. I can't understand it. My approach to doing anything is so different. If you feel that you have a much more dreamy, a much more creative, sensitive, slower approach that sought to find the authentic in your decision making and your actions, you're in really good company. And please don't feel bad about yourself. Don't waste another moment feeling that the way you are is wrong. Because in today's world, more than ever, we have the opportunity to operate within the world that suits us, a world that is of our own creation. If we want to build a business or find a job, we have the options of going to those places where our own qualities are most valued. That is a process that I am working through all the time. Within the next couple of months, it's highly likely that I may be losing my own job. And this is quite alarming, and I've spoken to Steve about it in preparation, really, for processing this reality, processing it to get myself ready for it. And I am doing that. But I also recognize that this is an opportunity for me to build something new, something that's based on my own energy, my own beliefs, something that really suits the way I do things. I need daily space, to go into my own psyche and feel being alive, just to meditate, to process things in a calm and quiet manner that's not relying on constant action all the time. Learn to value those qualities in yourself, because I've realized that everything that is born into the world comes from that place of quiet, comes from an idea, an inspired dream, something that is all very ethereal and invisible. And that's totally appropriate. Embrace that, because that's your gift, that's your strong point. Don't try and push that away and to put yourself in an environment that's really unsuitable for you, and then walk away feeling like you failed, or walk away feeling like your qualities aren't appreciated, or that people don't get you. Be that in a work environment or even socially. Over the years, now I'm 52 years old, I have, it's been a natural shedding of those people that I don't vibe with. I use that word as it's a shorthand for gel. That natural flow between people. You don't have to work hard at it. You get each other, you make each other laugh, you even finish each other's sentences. You know what the other one is thinking, and it's very similar to what you're thinking. That's what I mean by vibe. Those people have just fallen away because it's been too hard. Life is harder. We have less time. Life is more pressured. There is simply no time, and I simply don't have the energy to keep plugging away at something that just doesn't work. It doesn't mean that those people aren't nice or I don't appreciate them. I do appreciate them. But I'm loving having a group of people in my social circle where I can send a text, pick up the phone, do a FaceTime call or jump in the car and go and visit them. And it's easy. It's lovely to see them. They're pleased to see me. It's calm and relaxed. And I have one or two friends. I have a very good friend actually who I really get on with, and we've known each other for years. Her approach to life is a little bit more type 3. So there is a background of type 3 kind of thrusting energy going on, whereas there isn't with me because my secondary is a type 1. But because I appreciate so many aspects of her, we both have an unspoken agreement to just ignore that disparity. It doesn't cause too many problems with us. Likewise, with my relationship with my 2 daughters, over the years I've been able to explain what I simply am not and will never be, and what I really am and will always be. I think they appreciate my openness and my honesty. And we've learned that people aren't all exactly the same. We can really enjoy those similarities between ourselves and not have to deal with the disparities between ourselves, unless, of course, they become so overwhelming that it becomes a destructive or an abusive situation. Yes, gone are the days when I try and speak in a more forceful, faster way. I have a very soft voice. Everybody has told me that, so I've come to accept that it's true from that honest feedback. And I speak slowly. That's how I've always been. Ladies, let's just accept ourselves for who we are. And it's all right. It's actually such a relief. It's actually very exciting because now we can move forward with our authenticity and actually create things according to our nature. Oh my God, I wish I'd done this 20 years ago or more. And isn't it all about our expectation? Your expectation. What do you expect of yourself? What do you demand of yourself? It's a wonderful thing to expect something of yourself that's according to your nature from birth. This is God-given. There's nothing that we can do that's going to change it, and we can put on a front for a short period of time, but eventually our true nature will out. There's no two ways about it. Bear in mind, however, that the secondary nature energy type does also come into play. And I specifically want to address that type 1 energy, that upward, buoyant, light, fun-loving, childlike energy that just wants to do those childlike things, to hug people spontaneously, to laugh and joke and be just light and bubbly. You know, of course, I couldn't stand it if somebody was 100% like that all of the time. It's something that could easily drive you around the twist. But I've also learned to appreciate that that is a part of myself. Interestingly, it's a part that I reserve for when I'm at home. When I'm with my loved ones, those who know me best, those who are closest to me and matter the most, I am so fun-loving, bubbly, childlike, silly, in a way that I will never be when I set foot out of that front door. It's been such an interesting path of discovery. And I really want to thank Carol Tuttle for it. She's really done everybody a huge service by allowing us to come one step closer to loving ourselves exactly as we are. and understanding ourselves and setting expectations that are totally on a par with our nature, that aren't going to lead to disappointment. When we communicate to other people unapologetically what our nature is and what they expect from us, it's up to them to decide as to whether they want to come closer to us or not. And I found that those who don't really value my particular values very quickly lose interest in me and move on to someone else. You know, often I see that happening. It's not bad. It's actually such a blessing, because I don't have to deal with the discomfort of that so much. The only difference is if you're in a situation where you're working very closely or associated very closely in some way with somebody who really clashes with your approach, with your ethos, that can cause a completely different challenge to those that I'm addressing in this video. Yes, it's been such a blessing. And the biggest blessing of all, for somebody like myself who is going through a physical transformation, it's come at totally the right time. I was totally ready for it. You know what they say, when you're ready, the master will appear. That's definitely something that I feel has happened. It's allowed me to embrace those things that I used to be ashamed of. You know, okay, shoot me. I love crystals. I love crystals. I'm surrounded by them. I love my singing bowl, and I sit for 10 minutes in the morning, letting the reverberation of that sweet sound clear out my head. I love it. You have to have a softness, and you have to be able to allow things to impact you at a subconscious level and be able to access that information in order to be involved in things like that. I love my plants. You know, I love caring for them. I love sitting there and looking at how the light filters through the leaves and shows me all the different greens. There are so many more things that I absolutely love now, that I allow to influence my decision making. What books do I read? What publishers do I value most? What kind of evenings out do I like? You know, don't ask me to go to the pub and stand around with a load of drunk people who are talking shit. I'm never going to enjoy that. Give me a nice, intimate gathering where there is lovely food to enjoy, interesting drinks to have, where people are bringing their authentic self and we're really sharing from the heart. I love that. You know, I love the way things are going, and I really wanted to make this video for the type 2s out there, or the secondary type 2s, to encourage you to embrace that in yourself. So look forward to our next little piece of time together. You take care. Until next time.